Good evening. Welcome to Butler School. Today I'd like to talk about housekeeping. Not just the sort of hotel style housekeeping, that kind of thing, but more specifically a private house. And today we're going to talk about how you get the butler's eye. How you train yourself to see things that other people don't notice. It's actually just a matter of training yourself in the way you look. Now, when you're cleaning your own house, and I very much include myself in this, I clean it to a level that it looks clean. Now, that is of course perfectly fine for your own home, but that's not how you clean a principal's residence, or how you organise your team to organise and clean a principal's residence. To clarify what I mean there is something which will never be seen should be just as clean and well maintained as something that's straight in your eye line as soon as you walk in the door. So for example, there's certain things which are always going to be the bane of your life as a butler. I used to look after a house where pretty much every surface was either mirror finish or black lacquer finish. So even if there was one speck of dust, it stood out. You know, the problem with that is you spend a lot of your time polishing those surfaces, and it's very easy to forget about the the behind the scenes stuff. Basically, if the principal was ever to want to pull out and move furniture, look behind, that kind of thing, remove all the books from the shelf and look behind the books, that's one of the most common actually, and one of the most frequently missed. But it should be as spotless as the rest of the room. I know it's a huge amount of work, especially when it comes to like books in a bookshelf. You could be moving hundreds, if not thousands of books, which is a big task, but at the end of the day it has to be done. I'm going to do a separate video about specifically how to clean books. Not going to be talking about the actual how to clean anything tonight, but just the idea of what should be done. So I'll just give you a couple of tips to how to look around a room. Now, obviously, please do forgive me. This is just my private house. This is not a mansion, and it is not the best example for this, but you're just going to have to sort of bear with me to see what I mean. Now, right up from, the coving on the ceiling, that might be very ornate. This is very plain and doesn't really hold any dust, to be honest, because it's downward facing. But sometimes it can have shapes to it, it can be very ornate, and it might need dusting as much as once a week. If you live in central London, more often than that, because, or any big old city where there's cars, trains, subway trains going past, shaking the building, dust comes down, that kind of thing. Smog and pollution outside, it causes a lot of dust. If you're in the country, funnily enough, you might get a lot of dust from pollen and things like that as well, so you're never going to get away from it. Objet d'art and stuff, they need moving every time you clean. You never just clean the front bit. If you're cleaning the sort of mantelpiece in front of the books, you never just clean the front bit. You always take the books off, clean underneath, put them back. Just get in the habit of that. But what I'd recommend to you, so you don't miss anything while you're going around, is like a simple way that I like to work. I start with a specific point in the room, and I start at the top. And I will go clockwise around the room, and I will clean everything around that top part of the room and work my way around 360 back to where I start. Then I drop down and I go the same way to the next sort of, just above eye level. So we talk about all the pictures and mirrors and everything like that, making sure the top of every picture frame's clean, etc, etc. Then I drop down, so I'm sort of at eye level, and I do the same thing, working my way around the room. Now this is where most things are in the room, so this takes up the most time. But you're working around, you've got objects and pictures and lamps and stuff like that, TVs. Behind the TV, you've got to clean every single, HDMI lead or whatever that goes into the back of the TV. You've got to go around and clean all of those. Then you drop down and you've got your sort of coffee table height things, that sort of stuff. Your fireplaces, they always take a lot of cleaning because, depending if they're what sort of fuel they use, if they're coal or whatever, that there's a lot of cleaning there. You've got your soft furnishing, so I'm just holding my phone, so I know it's not the best sort of, but your soft furnishings like a leather chair there, it's going to need polishing, that kind of stuff. So like I say, very simple sort of system that I use, starting at the top. Always clean from the top down, because quite obviously you're going to knock dust downwards. So if you do it in any other way, you're just going to get dust back on where you've just cleaned, so you don't want to do that. So starting from the top down, work all the way around the room, drop down a level, work all the way around the room, and keep doing that till you get to the floor. And the last thing you're going to clean is the floor and anything like coffee tables which sit, in the middle of the floor. You do your rugs, your polished floors. That's the very last thing you clean, just working basically from top to bottom. We've already touched on other things, and I'll go back in more detail, but you need to have a list of how often you clean certain objects, things like chandeliers. Realistically, you're not going to clean a chandelier every time you clean a room. If you're talking about a big round house, they're like 30 feet up, they might involve hundreds of small pieces, thousands of small pieces even, and they might take an entire day or 2 days or a week to clean. So if you were cleaning them every week, you'd literally only be cleaning them constantly. But you need a rota, and you need to know when they were last done and when they need to be done again. Okay, I hope that sounded logical to you, and I hope it was helpful. Happy to sort of go through some more details with you in the future. But like I say, you need to get your butler's eye. Start checking everything. And the crucial thing is, it doesn't matter whether you think it's going to be seen. It might be seen. So just clean it anyway. Behind counters, behind cabinets, move everything out. Move the sofa, clean underneath the sofa. I remember once being hauled over the coals because one of the guest bedrooms, which hadn't been used for months, basically everything was clean apart from a few hangers in one of the wardrobes which had some dust on it. Now, I hadn't checked that those specific hangers had been dusted on top, so there was some dust on top of the hangers inside the cabinet, and they were right to pull me up on it. It was my fault that it wasn't clean. I should have checked, but I missed it. And that's the kind of thing. You can't assume that the clients won't see these things, because sometimes they go around and they look in all sorts of places. So you've got to make sure that you're on it right from the start. Okay, well, thanks very much. Really hope you can join me on some of my other videos. There's a lot of different videos on here now, covering a lot of different subjects for butlering, household management, and general sort of household duties. So thanks very much. Please subscribe, and I'll see you again soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.